welcoming me or letting me have a session today. The topic is alternative healing. It could also be called sound healing or
Oh, I'm sorry, Lawrence. I just muted you. Very sorry.
okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll repeat the first sentence. So thank you for inviting me. This topic is called energy healing. It also can be called alternative healing or sound healing. So these words may be new to some of you. Some of you may have heard it before. Some of you it appears like are already practicing different forms of alternative healing. So before we talk about alternative healing, let's try to understand what is the normal or the traditional or the standard methods of healing. So all of us in major cities in India go to doctors or hospitals, and the doctors there are trained in Western medicine, what is called Western medicine. They're MBBS, MDs, or FRCS, and their treatment is pills, injections, and temperatures, monitoring, those type of things. That's all Western medicine. Okay, this started about 2,000 years ago with the Greeks. There was a guy named Hippocrates who really started formalized medicine. But the real advances in medicine, Western medicine, happened in the last 200 years because they use a lot of technology. Okay, thermometers, injections, microscopes, and heart replacement, limb replacement. So it's really, really very advanced. So when I talk about alternative medicine, I'm not telling you to drop your your current doctor. Stay with your doctor because they are really very good, very smart, and they are dedicated to what they're doing. So they're very good at what they do. Uh, Alternative medicine is something that has started to express itself recently. Now, the thing with the current with Western medicine is they look at just the body. Alternative medicine looks at the body, the mind, not just the brain, the mind, the emotions, the heart, and the spirit. And spirit means lots of things. It could mean God, it could mean your religion, it could mean some power above you, because we are just bodies here. There's some power that influences us. So whether you believe in God, believe you're an atheist, most people still believe there's some power beyond us. So that's what we call spirit in general. So Western medicine looks only at the body. In fact, it is so advanced, not only look only at the body, they look at one small part. So there's a specialist in heart, and sometimes there's a specialist in heart, just the heart valve. So that's all they know. They're like tunnel vision. That's all they know. They don't know anything else about other parts of the body. They fix it, and they do a very good job at that. So, but they don't, look at the whole integrated, the whole, all of the other aspects. So what happens as a result of that is uh, that focus, any treatment they give for that does not take into account its effect on the other parts of the body, leave alone on the emotions and the mind and the spirit. So they treat it like a sculpture, so it's like a car. Something is wrong with the radiator, they just take the radiator and fix it. Something's wrong with the brakes, they fix the brakes, and they do a good job at that. But if fixing the brake affects something else, they don't they don't necessarily look at it. Sometimes they may, most usually that's all they will fix, and they do a good job there. So it really, the real advances are like when you have an accident. You have an accident, you break your bone, or you had a fire and something happened. You go to an emergency clinic, it is so amazing what they can do. They can put your bone back, they can replace the bone, they can give you a new hand, they can completely graft new skin on you. So those things are really absolutely amazing what Western medicine can do today. Um, the problems have started to arise in the last few years, maybe 20 years or so, with what is called chronic illnesses. So a lot of us have chronic illnesses, and chronic illnesses can mean like arthritis or asthma or Parkinson's disease or stomach IBS type problems. These are problems that don't have an immediate solution. Normally, the Western doctors, you go, they give you a pill for an ill. That's the, the terminology, a pill for an ill. You go for, you have a cough, you go there, they give you some prescription. Okay, that problem is solved. But if the cough was caused by something else deeper, that that internal thing that caused the cough in the first place is not addressed. It's just a pill for an ill. And today, a lot of our problems are not just directly related to one particular issue, it's lifestyle. And some now they've even got to a point where they feel there's trauma. Trauma is a very broad word. Sometimes they say some of these traumas happened in our youth when we were very young, either some problem with our siblings, a younger child an elder child feels left out when a new baby is born, or the parents didn't have enough time or attention to give to to that child, or in school, the teacher was rude to the uh, to the student, or some bully beat up or bossed over some student. That problem sometimes just gets stuck in the heart and stuck in the brain, and it continues to stay there. And over the years, our responses stay the same, and that results in some chronic issues. It may express itself as a cough, as a stomach ache, as a pain, as an arthritis. It may express itself in different ways, but deep down, it's caused by something deep down in our heart that we did not really address. And alternative medicine looks at all these other issues, the emotional issues, the spiritual issues that are deep down that could have caused these problems. And that's where alternative medicine comes in. Now, what is alternative medicine? Now, alternative medicine has always been around forever, right from the beginning of time. Okay, in America, they're called shamans. In India, I think if you go to some small village, you still have these guys called Vaidyas or whatever. And in some places, they're called witch doctors. That's a bad term for them because they put all kind of masks and everything. But they address the spirit. That person is sick because not just because there's some external thing, it's deep down in the spirit, in their emotions, there's something. So they put on all these witch doctors, they sing and they dance, create sounds. I remember when I was young, my dad used to take us to go up to Kalangot. That time Kalangot was a small village. Today it's like a big city. But if I got sick, there's no doctor nearby, then dearest doctor would be probably in Panaji or some faraway place. So my grandmother would herself take that, I think it's called a chutti or something, the branch of the leaf of a palm tree, burn it and make some medicine, give me something to drink, and then say some prayers and wrap that chutti, burn it a little bit and wrap it around my body, around my head. I would be okay. So that is alternative medicine. For some reason, the Western medicine came and this alternative medicine just went by the side. But now they're starting to look at this again. And today it exists very much. In India, for instance, very advanced. It's called Ayurveda. And it's still practiced a lot. Another form of it is homeopathy, started in Germany, but that's also a very natural form of medicine. The Chinese have also a very advanced, uh, there's someone waiting to join, I think. Uh, it's very advanced. Chinese medicine is called acupuncture. Now, acupuncture is purely energy. They treat the whole body as an energy system. And there are 11 what they call meridians going through the body. In yoga, almost a similar, it's related to the Chinese system, and it's called chakras. There are 7 chakras in the body. And those chakras and the meridians are sort of related with a thing called nadis. So they're all connected to energy. And you've probably heard of the word acupressure. Acupressure is where they put pressure in different parts of the body that might be the center that's causing the disease. Disease is not necessarily a bad word. It's less ease, and lack of ease is called disease. So if there's lack of ease in some part of the body, it may be here in our eyes, but the problem may be somewhere else in our nervous system. So they do a tapping like this, a tapping on the body, or they press, or they put little needles, very tiny needles. You don't even feel it; it doesn't hurt. So, and excites the nervous system and brings balance to the body. So, uh, sound is one form. Sound is one form of creating harmony in the body. And we know, if you all have heard of these Franciscan monks, they would sing what is called Gregorian chants. All of them would just sing together, and that would bring harmony to that uh, to the whole society. There's a case recently of one particular monastery in Switzerland. It closed down, and all the monks started getting sick. So the head abbot, the abbot of the monastery, called a psychologist and said, "What's the reason so many of our monks are getting sick?" So he started to look at them. Physically, there was nothing wrong with them. Then he says, "What happened? Since when?" "Well, last 6 months ago." "What happened 6 months ago?" "Well, there was a little flooding, and so that main place where they used to get together to sing, we closed that down, so they've not been singing. So just start that once again." And they went to another place and started singing and humming, and they were all back into harmony. So that thing does something to our body that we don't even totally understand. We understand only at some level. It does something to the harmony in the body, singing, humming. Simple example is a little child. A child cries, runs to the mother. Mother sings it a lullaby, right? Just holds it and sings a lullaby. Immediately, problems are gone. Child smiles. So that sound, that touch, those things are very important. These are alternate ways of healing that pills cannot solve, operations cannot solve, injections cannot solve. Alternate healing addresses those issues. Uh, I'll show you there are lots of different alternative methods of healing. There's Reiki, and I think Tanya mentioned crystals. And besides that, there's water healing. And in Tibet, somehow this notion, this theory of bowls came to Tibet, and I'll give you a view of the bowls that I have here. We'll be playing that a little later. So if you look down here, I'll adjust those are the bowls. And let me just play one. Did you all hear that? Could you?
Yes.
Oh, good, good. So we'll have a session later on. I just wanted to introduce you to what these bowls are. In Tibet, the theory got advanced quite a lot more than in other places. But if you look at a bowl, this is a bowl, and if you flatten it, it becomes round and flat. It's called a gong. So they do a lot of gong work. You might have heard of gongs. And if
Yeah.
you invert this like this and put a dong here, it becomes a bell. And in churches, what do we have? Church bells, right? The bells of the Angelus and all this. All churches, they put the bells. So those bells, and in most temples, they have bells. They don't have gongs in India. But in Tibet, they have bowls, Tibetan bowls and gongs. So these bells, they create a sound that affects our ears. It affects all our body. Our bodies have receptors that accept these sounds, and they go and provide some kind of balance to the body. Where are we? Okay, we're talking about, are there any questions so far? Or should I just proceed? Yeah, I'll just continue then. So Um, Chronic diseases. See, uh, in in uh, in India, it may not be that common, but I think it exists there in India too. But in the West, and when we say West, we mean usually America, Europe, Australia. In the West, there's a lot of chronic diseases. Chronic diseases are like obesity, it's stress, it's anxiety, it's tension. These things are very predominant now. They say 50% or more of all people in the West have some form of chronic disease or the other. So 50%, in spite of advances, such advances in in medicine, you would think everyone would be healthy and happy, have no health problems at all. But 50% of them are taking some prescription, not just supplements, some prescription drug. That means it's a doctor recommended, produced by a pharmacy, costing a lot of money. They're taking these drugs constantly, 2, 3 times a day, everyone's, and it is not curing it. It's just maintaining the balance to make sure the person doesn't die or get worse. It's just maintaining that the balance of their life. Um, so these are caused by constant stress. How does stress happen? Stress is not because of things out in the world. Stress is our reaction to them. But most of us cannot help it reacting to it. Some people are able to stay balanced in spite of everything, but it's difficult because of time pressures. We got cell phones all the time, and we got messages. Most people, a lot of people, I don't. I used to first thing in the morning go and pick up the cell phone, see if somebody sent us some message and what we have to do, or did I send a message to someone? Did they get it? Did they respond to it? Why didn't they respond? They don't like me. All of these issues start cropping up. And uh, besides that, there's radio, there's television, and some of us, which is a very bad habit, at night we watch the news, which is the worst thing to do because news is not happy news. It's always, oh, there was a war, somebody got killed, somebody got attacked. And when we go to sleep with those thoughts in our mind, we are not going to have a restful sleep. We're going to sleep very tense, very worried. So those are the things that cause a lot of stress. And they say all these issues, these problems, these are issues, they stay in our tissues, the tissues of our body. And uh, we have to remove them because they're stuck there. So a lot of people here in America come to India to study yoga. Yoga is it's amazing how much this uh, science has now found out what yoga can do. We used to just say, poo-poo, that's just a crazy thing that for somebody to, is exercise. Exercise is the least part of yoga. Yoga is a health system and it's also a spiritual system. The purpose of yoga, these rishis, they developed it, lots of 5, 6,000 years ago, even before Hinduism picked it up. It was a practice among those people in the Himalayas, and they say it came from Egypt. Those people in Egypt years and years ago were practicing it. Then it came to Tibet and to India, and then it came to the rest of India. It is a spiritual thing more than anything else. Yes, it is a lifestyle thing. It's meant to extend our life and be healthy, so we can be healthy for a long period of time to improve our spiritual relationship with the divine. That really is the purpose of yoga. And so I would like to show you a short video. I just mentioned earlier that a lot of Westerners are coming to India to study yoga, Ayurveda. They have Ayurveda clinics here by Indians and many by Americans who studied Ayurveda in India and they're practicing it here. So this one doctor, John Douliard, I'll show you a short video. He talks about how these issues are stuck in our tissues and how sound can loosen up those issues and make us free to start a proper lifestyle. The principle basically of Ayurveda is to remove the toxins. We have toxins in our body. It comes through what we eat, what we breathe, comes through our thoughts too. We have negative thoughts, we have thoughts of anger, thoughts of jealousy, thoughts of fear. Those thoughts stay in the body and then they express itself in different parts of the body. So those thoughts have to be removed too. So let me just take a minute and see if I can share the screen and show you a short video by him.
Aspects of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. We feel everything in our heart, which is called Sadhaka Pitta. So we have all these impressions come into our heart. We feel it. You all know what it's like to get hurt feelings. And you all probably can feel it in your heart. You just constrict and wall off. And then we take those emotions and we somehow figure out a way to store those emotions in our fat. And those fats remotely make us think and do the same dumb stuff again and again. So if anybody tries to do the same dumb thing again to you that happened in the past, you already have a pre-recorded stress response for that. You're ready to go. In other words, if you were a hunter-gatherer, you went into a cave, got chased out of a cave by a lion, you would record that memory and you would know never to go into that cave again. You could be 85 years old and you go, ooh, this cave looks familiar. I remember this cave. Don't go in that cave because there's a lion in there. You remember it. So we store these emotional constrictions in our fat, but they also make us change our behavior in a protective way. They armor us up. So what happens is those emotions felt by Sadhaka Pitta are carried to our brain by what's called pranavata. Vata is what moves, it's the air, right? So the pranavata carries these impressions to our brain, particularly a part of our brain called the white matter of the brain. And the white matter of the brain, the neurons are wrapped in fat called myelin sheaths. And that fat is an impressionable fatty sheath. Again, the old saying, we store mental ama, Ayurveda calls emotions, mental ama, in our fat. Well, that fat just happens to be in the white matter in the center of your brain. And, excuse me, it's called the white matter, and it's called the myelin sheath. And that myelin sheath is called Tarpaka Kapha, which Tarpaka means to record. So it's the place where we record all those emotional impressions. Let me get that straight. You feel it in your heart as emotional impressions. You then create an emotional response that's carried to your brain through pranavata that imprints that memory of that emotion in your brain, in the white matter of your brain, on the Tarpaka Kapha, which is the myelin sheath, which is extremely soft and extremely impressionable. So it gets imprinted there. But because it's soft and impressionable, it's neuroplastic. It has the ability to reshape and to reform. That is what Ayurveda was all about. That's what Vedic science is all about, is becoming conscious. That's what the Kaya Kalpa cleanse is all about, is becoming conscious. We all know that we do the same dumb thing again and again. We have repetitive patterns of behavior. We attract the same kind of partner that doesn't work. We do it again and again and again, and we can't break those patterns. And that is what Ayurveda, really one of the reasons why Ayurveda was about. Ayurveda science was about human potential. It wasn't about just, not having heartburn. Of course, that's a part of, you got to get your body balanced to be able to do these things. So it was all part of the process. But the big goal was really something quite different than just, not having heartburn or something like that. It's longevity, and longevity because you need a lot of time to become conscious. It takes a while to scrub all these crazy thoughts that we have, right? So here's how it works. Think of your myelin sheaths like a sandbox that you could hold in your hand, and you draw some lines in the sand, right? And then and those are your emotional impressions, imprinted, old traumas that happened in your life. So you never forget that bear in that cave thing, right? You never forget it. It's always right there. And then you shake that sand and you vibrate it, right? And all of a sudden, those lines are gone, right? They're gone. They're not there anymore. You wrote them, they were there, but now they're gone. In a similar way, Ayurvedic medicine used vibrational therapies to actually erase these emotional traumas that were imprinted into your Charpaka kapha, into your myelin sheaths. Now, I don't have exact science to back up exactly what I said, but I do have science to back up a lot of what I said. There are studies to show that chanting and humming and vibrational therapies have been shown to actually create neuroplasticity in your brain, which is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it doesn't show that by changing those neuroplasticity agents that old emotional patterns have gone away. But Tarpaka kapha also represents the lymphatic drainage of your brain. The lymphatic system, newly discovered 10 years ago, the University of Virginia found that we drain 3 pounds of chemicals and plaque out of your head every year while you sleep at night. And if those lymphs, they've known now, discovered since, if those brain lymphs aren't draining the waste, and that's Tarpaka kapha draining the junk out of your brain 3 pounds per year, if you can't get the trash out, you can't really create.
Okay, so what that guy, Dr. Juliard, was talking about is every experience we have, whether he talked, the example he gave was of a lion in a cave, but it could be somebody you meet who bothers you. Every time you see it, that person bothers you. You know, you can, and it affects your emotions, and you keep that memory in your mind. Or you don't even have to meet that person. You think about that person, or you think about that situation. Immediately, your emotions get affected, goes back in your brain, reminds you that's a bad thing. So those those are protective systems, you know, to like say, hey, that's a fire, don't touch the fire. So it's good. But sometimes you overreact to that, and those emotions are stuck in the brain. So we can get rid of those emotions, as you mentioned, through chanting, because they're written in the brain, but they're written like on a sand, and you can always remove the sand impression because it's not carved in stone. It's just written lightly. So we can. It's called plasticity. We have plasticity. That means at one time they thought old people cannot learn anything new, and all of us here are probably in the senior citizen group. We are learning new things, so we can learn till we're 100 if we live till 100, and we can live till 100 too. So those are false impressions that we have, and we can change our mind, we can change our brain, we can change our brain patterns through singing, through humming, through these type of modalities. So that's what he was trying to say. So now that we talked about that, let's talk a little about sound and the basics of sound. You know, in the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word. Now, all other religions, Jewish religion, Muslim, and and Zoroastrian, all of them have a similar story, not exactly the same, that everything was just sound. Now, sound and light are basically the same thing. There's lightning. During monsoon, you see lightning, you see the lightning come, and then you hear the thunder. So they both started at the same time. Light goes faster than sound. So you hear the lightning first, and then you hear the thunder. So they're both related. Sound and light are interchangeable. And there are some what are known as universal sounds. These universal sounds are like om or Now, all of us have a mother, right? What do we call her? Ma, Om, or Amma, or Mai. Universally, almost everywhere in the world, there's almost a similar sounding word for mother, Ma. That's the universal sound. Another universal sound is like, ha. You're tired and you still, it's a relieving sound. So, Om, they say it came from Egypt, it came to India, it became Om, Aum. Then it went to the Middle East, and in the Middle East, they have these, especially in a place called Lebanon, whirling dervishes who there that word Aum became Amin. And the Romans took it to Rome and they made it Amen. And the Americans picked it up and made it Amen. So it's almost the same sound conversion. Om, Aum, Amen, Amen. They all the same type of sound, and they create a certain vibration in the body. So these are universal sounds that people can chant, and when you chant, it affects those vibrations, affect us, and they cause some change in our body. So I'll show you another besides tuning, besides Tibetan bowls, there are tuning forks. So I've got an example of a tuning fork here. I've got two of them here. So I'll try and see if you can hear it.
Lawrence, can I just take a moment, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I would request to keep your devices on mute because we are hearing a constant disturbance from specific background. So, Ovinia, Bina, yeah, that's much better. Ovinia, may I please request you to keep your device? Ovinia, can you hear us? And Bernadette as well, may I please request you keep your device on mute because we are almost getting to the part where we're going to hear Lawrence introduce us now to the experience of hearing the sound vibration, and that's key to this session. So I would request you to please go on. Lawrence, I'm going to mute everyone. You can to go. I think that'll be better.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's a good plan. Okay, now can you hear me? Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so I'll continue. We were talking about tuning forks, and these are used to a lot of people use these things just tuning forks. They don't have bowls or reiki or anything. It's tuning forks. So a little bit about tuning forks. When you tap it, you know, it gives a certain sound. You may not be able to hear it right now, but if you keep it to your close to your ears, you can hear it. Now, suppose this is going at 100 cycles per second, going ooh like that, and this one at 20 cycles per second, ooh, different frequency. When you beat both of them, after a while, one of them will stop its frequency and follow the other. It's amazing how this thing happens, and so it's called entrainment. One one of them, either the one that's 100 or 20, will follow the other, and that's called entrainment. One entrains to the other. That is a very important principle in sound healing because they say our body is constantly in frequency. It, it, it's uh, it's vibrating at a certain frequency. Every part of our body, in fact, vibrates at some different frequency or the other. Like the heart, it beats at 50, 60 cycles per second. In our brain, we've got brain waves. They have 4 different cycles. Like right now, it's in a what is called a beta state where it's doing at about 15 to 30 cycles per second. Those waves are going at that rate. When we get ready to go to sleep, that's it goes down a little bit from 15 to maybe 8 cycles per second, a little slower. So we're getting ready to sleep. It calms down a little bit. When we are in the bed and slightly slightly subconscious. Our subconscious is is still active, but our conscious mind is going down. Then it goes from 8 to 4 cycles per second. And when we are in deep sleep, it's from 4 to 0 cycles. So the brain waves, the brain goes through different waves, different cycles per second. That's true for all different parts of the body. they all vibrate at different frequencies, and the whole body vibrates at some other frequency. In fact, they say, as we talked about, in the beginning was the word, and the word was sound, and the word was God, the word was universe. Everything in this universe is vibration. And whether you look at the smallest atom, you look at the smallest atom, that atom has inside it protons and electrons. They are constantly vibrating. So it's little a particle, but it's also a wave. It's going at a certain very high frequency. So whether you look at a tree, you look at a mountain, you look at a human body, you look at any part of the body, it's all vibrations, it's all energy. Everything in this world is energy. And it's those waves that then become dense and become a human being or become an animal or become a tree. So everything in this world is just energy. In the beginning, it was just sound and vibration energy. Today, it is different forms of material forms, but deep down inside, it is nothing but energy. So according to some theory, we were always energy before we were born. Then we took a body, eyes, legs, hands, and then when we die, the body disappears and we are back into some form of energy, whether we become angels and go to heaven, or whether you call it soul, whether you call it spirit. The scientists call it energy. We were always energy, we are energy. So we are all different forms of energy. And that is what the basis of this energy healing is all about. Because if some part of our body is not vibrating at a proper frequency, either our stomach or our nose or our heart is not proper frequency, then through chanting or through sound or through Tibetan bowls or through this tuning fork, we can create vibrations, and then the heart entrains to this proper vibration. It picks up that vibration and it heals itself. So you can heal it through sound, you can heal it through love, you can heal it through miracles and prayer, or you can heal it through medicines, operations or Western medicine, pills and injections. So there are different ways of healing. So this is just an additional way of healing. And that's called entrainment. So any part of the body that is out of sync, that is uneasy or diseased, it can be brought to ease by entraining to the proper frequency. That's the theory behind it. So Patricia asked me to, Jessica, I'm sorry, not Patricia, Jessica asked me to uh, to give a little about my interest, how I developed an interest in sound healing. So I've been, I was born in Bombay. I studied the engineering, and then I came to America more than 50 years ago, and I retired about 10 years ago. And after retiring, I was very active. I used to play tennis. I used to run a couple of miles every day. I used to do a lot of reading, and I used to do volunteer work. And most of my volunteer work was with hospice. I don't know why I got interested in older people. Hospice are those people who are they cannot be treated anymore. Doctors say we can't do anything. Just go to some place and we give you, palliative care. We'll just take care of you till you pass on. So I used to go and visit them and talk to them and chat with them. And some of them liked music, so I used to play the harmonica. And I'm not a good musician, but I could play enough to entertain them. So some of them liked the song, so I would entertain those people who liked the music, and that would keep me, occupied. And up till about 2 years ago, I was very active. Then suddenly, one day, I was playing tennis, and both my knees got hurt, and my wrist got hurt. I could barely walk. I came home, and next day I said, I got to see a doctor. I went to the doctor, they took some x-rays, and they said, well, maybe you got arthritis, maybe tendonitis, maybe this. And then I started feeling fatigue and indigestion and constipation and all of these things that are called chronic disease. So I went to specialists, I went to integrative doctors, I went to all kinds of doctors, spent a whole year trying everything that could be tried. At one time, I was taking 17 pills, 17 pills a day. Some of them were prescription medicines and some of them were supplements. And one medicine I would take, it would help my cholesterol, but it would affect the triglycerides. And if it helped the triglycerides, it would raise the cholesterol up. So there was one medicine would affect the other medicine, or one would counteract something else. So then I heard about sound healing. I said, do you know that if you say some mantras that you can cure yourself? So I started looking into that. And I heard about Ayurveda. You know, in India, before when I was in Bombay, I heard about Ayurveda. In fact, I went to an Ayurveda doctor for some nose problem. So I said, let me look into it. And I found an institute in Kerala. And while I was doing some research, I found there was a guy in India. His name is Satya Brat. For 20 years, he's been teaching Tibetan bowls. So I got in touch with him. He says, I've got a course. He says, when are you coming to India? I said, on the 2nd. He says, on the 3rd, I've got a course in Chennai. You want to come and attend? I said, yes. So I attended that course in Chennai for 2 days. And after that, I went to Kerala for 3 weeks. Within the first week, all the pain that I had disappeared. I could barely walk and carry my luggage into the center. Now I could walk around the whole center. By the end of 3 weeks, I could run around the center. Just what they do in Ayurveda, they take out all the toxins. Now, I had a lot of toxins, you know, emotional issues and spiritual issues. Everyone has those emotional issues, you know, issues with your friends, with your relatives, with your parents, with your partners. We all have these issues, and we just keep them cramped in our body, and that affects our health. So I had to do a lot of prayer, a lot of forgiveness, lots of spiritual issues too. It's not just medicines and medicine. It's not just physical toxins, there are emotional and spiritual toxins we have in our body. So I had to do a lot of that work too, a lot of forgiveness, lots of love, lots of, those issues. But I felt so much better at the end of that. And all the fatigue went away. And after that, I stayed with my sister in Bombay, and there was another 5-day course in New Delhi. I decided to go for that course on Tibetan bowls. So I took 7 days of training in how to use these Tibetan bowls. And there I met another person who was doing this. She had taken the first course 5 years ago, and she was doing this as a practitioner. So I've got a small video of her explaining what she did. So let's just spend a few minutes here, 2 minutes exactly, and listen to what she has to say. She was quite interesting.
I'm Aparna Krishnan. I am at Zorba, the Buddha in New Delhi, attending the Ayash Level 2 Singing Bowl, which is happening from February 24th to February 28th, 2020. I am also doing this workshop along with Lawrence Dsouza, and we both have shared really wonderful sound healing experiences. I am also into alternate healing and energy medicine for the last 14 years. And I came across sound healing for the last 3 years, and I've really experienced wonderful sound experiences. I happened to use this experience on my own son who had severe ADHD and mild Asperger's. He had a lot of trouble settling down in school and performing other activities. And the moment sound came into his life, his severe ADHD has got reduced to mild ADHD and Asperger's almost nil. And above all, it has helped him understand what is his core potential and shine in every field of his. I've also happened to experience this sound energy on other clients. I work on voluntary basis, of course. I worked on people with depression, anxiety, bipolar, liver cirrhosis, and also on addiction. And I have found very, very positive results in each one of them. My advice to everybody is It is worth going in for sound healing and sound bath on a regular basis to experience peace, harmony, and wellness in one's life. And of course, it would be a great idea if at least one member in every family is a sound healer. Thank you.
So I did not pay her to say this. I just happened to meet her. She was a student earlier this year, in February of this year. And her husband is in the Navy. So he goes out on the ship, and she lives in the Navy quarters. And there are lots of, veterans who have injuries, and their wives are widows, or their children have drug addictions. There are lots of problems with Army, personnel. She goes and treats them, as she mentioned. So, and she does a lot of healing. So that's one testimonial that this thing really works. So with that, I come to the end of the talk, and we can do a small session, 15 to 20 minutes of sound healing. But before I go into that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer that. If there are no questions, not a problem. Let's just go do a sound healing session. So I'll turn these bowls, I'll turn my camera towards the bowls. You can look at them. And what you can do is just sit down in a quiet, it's like a meditation, or just relaxation. Those word meditation, relaxation, they mean different things to different people. So don't be nervous and saying, oh my God, this is meditation. I don't know what meditation. It is just relaxation. And as you relax, if you get a chance to be in a horizontal position near a bed, you can sleep, that's fine. If you want to just sit down, that's fine. The important thing is to be relaxed. And I will give you some guidance as we go along, and I'll talk about the brain waves, how it is affecting your brain waves. And in about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, we'll end the session. So I'll turn this camera towards the bowls here, so you can look at the bowls.
So, Lawrence, essentially, they can get into any relaxation, comfortable position, right? And
Yes,
that's
yes.
advisable.
If you're sitting, just sit. If you are close to a bed and or a couch, and you just want to relax, that would be the best situation. If you can be in a horizontal position near a bed, and just keep your cell phone or whatever device you have near to you where you can hear them. You don't have to see. Now, initially you can look at these bowls, but it's best to close your eyes, because the bowls, they don't change. There's nothing changing. It's only the
That's
sound.
wonderful advice. Yeah.
Right. So you can look at the bowls. That's why I'll point the bowls to you, and then close your eyes. Be in any relaxing position you prefer. Sitting, it doesn't matter. And try to stay in that position. If you have to move about a little bit, that's fine. But just listen to the sounds, and try and I'll give you some guidance along the way. So over time, this may be the first experience, so you may be uncomfortable with the first experience. It takes 2 or 3 sessions before you get comfortable with anything in life. So this may be a little uncomfortable for you the first time, but let's give it a try, okay? So once again, these are my bowls. I've got 5 of them. I've got a bunch of bowls, and they all are at different frequencies. So they would affect different parts of the body. Okay, I've got a set of 7 bowls. They are not these bowls, they're different bowls. That's for the 7 chakras, but this is a general healing session. So we'll start with this one here. So sit in any relaxing position you want. And after you've seen the bowls, it's best to close your eyes and just listen to the sounds. And these sounds may sound unfamiliar to you in the beginning. It's like the bells of the church. Now you've been hearing your chapel bells or your church bells for a long time, or your temple bells if you go to a temple for a long time. So you're familiar with that. With this, you're not so familiar, so it'll take some time. This is like singing a nice song, but when you sing a song, there are words, and your mind goes to the words like, I love you, come and meet me on the beach. Then you think about the beach, or you think about the hills, or you think about the person. Here, there are no words, there are just sound. That's the advantage of just sound healing. There are no words to distract you. Just take a deep, slow breath. Breathe in a count of 5 or 6 breath in breath, 5 or 6 breaths per second, and 5 or 6 breaths out. Inhale for count of 5 or 6, exhale for a count of 5 or 6. Very slowly. And the sound will add to your relaxation. So just keep breathing very slow. In breath slow, out breath slow. And your brain will entrain to these sounds, and you'll go from a beta state, which is a state during active day, to a more relaxed state. Some of you may already be in this relaxed state called alpha. From beta we go to alpha. And from alpha we go to a lower sense of relaxation called theta. where the brain waves are very slow. And if you feel you're falling asleep, that's fine. That's a very good thing. Because healing happens when you're deep in sleep. In the silence between the sounds, that's when the healing starts to take effect. So take your time, just gradually, slowly open your eyes. And if you have to stretch a little bit, go ahead and stretch. And yeah, stretch your arms, your legs, and come back to normal, what is called beta state. Some of you may have gone into from beta to alpha, alpha to theta, theta to delta. Delta is deep, deep sleep. If you went into that, that's very good. That's the best relaxation. It's relaxation that brings us back to normal, gets rid of the toxins. So hopefully you have enjoyed this session. If there are any questions, I think we could take a couple minutes. Is that okay, Jacinta?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, so yeah, I would. Now's the time. We'd love to hear from everyone, and actually take your time to speak as well, because that that healing session was amazing. And in fact, I don't want to break it by speaking. But yeah, you can sure do go ahead and unmute yourselves and tell us more about whether it helped you, it didn't help you. Because both Lawrence and I here we're having a very open and feedback session here. And did it help you at all, or not?
It was awesome, awesome, Jacinta. It was so relaxing, and it was really awesome. I hope you could organize more of these sessions for us.
Yeah, here in America, they have like clinics. You can go like gyms, how you have gyms or social clubs. You have they're called sound bath studios. So you go there, you pay there for half an hour or 1 hour, whatever, $15, $20, and they give you like a couch. You can either sit down or you can sleep. And for 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever session, they give you these either metal bowls like I have, or they're crystal bowls like a glass. And they're and people go there, they feel relaxed, they go back to work or go back home. So it's a very good session to have.
Thank you, Lawrence. It was amazing.
Okay.
It was very amazing. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, please? Can I ask a question, please, Jacinta?
Sure.
I'm Bhavani Venugopal from Goa. Can you hear me, Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Yes, I can, Bhavani.
Yeah, hi. First of all, I should say that it was a very, very inspiring talk. And though we have heard of so many alternate medicines, the way you explained put it everything in a different light. So I would like to thank you for that. And also ask you a small question regarding, you said you had an issue with your joints and all that, and you took for Ayurveda. Is it like a one-time treatment, or you have to do it on a regular cyclic basis? You go there every year, or how is it done, or you do it at home?
Yes, I went on January 2nd and January 3rd. I went to this Ayurvedic clinic in Kerala for 3 weeks. So, and
Yes.
they made a lot of changes. Now I'm not 100%, in one treatment you cannot become back to 100%. I still cannot run a mile. I could run a mile, but I can run half a mile. So I'm gradually improving. And as you age, it takes longer to get your strength back than if I was 15 or 16 years old. So,
Correct.
but they removed a lot of what they do is they remove the toxins, and the body is a miracle. Our whole body is a miracle. It has an amazing way of healing itself. The body wants to be healthy, but we put toxins in it, so it wants
Correct.
to be healthy. The body has wants to be healthy, so it's curing itself. So
So
after after
are
I
you,
left, yes, let me finish this one thing.
yeah,
After I left the clinic, they gave me something to take for about 1 month, some like tonics. It's called kashayam. It continues to remove the toxins for 1 month. And they gave me some like sesame oil to a massage every second day. And I did that for about 2 months. I've not continued with that. So you don't have to do it for the rest of your life, but it's good like once a year to go back. And if you have a problem, go back there for a week or 2 weeks. If you don't have a problem, you don't need to go back to that clinic. It's not a permanent, dependence on a doctor. Did I
and
answer
True.
you?
also one more,
Yes,
well, yeah, thank you. One more question regarding the sound healing. That looked very interesting, the sound healing. I'm seeing
yes.
it for the first time. So what is the scope of going for a session or something here in Goa? Like somebody does it, or what is the scope for a person to get yourself trained in this sitting here in Goa?
Very good question. I found out about it because my nephew, I asked him, I said, I want to learn about mantras. Is there somebody teaching mantras in Goa? He said, no, but there is this group called IASH, International Association of Sound Healing. They are having a session in Goa. But by the time I came there, they had finished it. So I contacted that leader and I'll send that information to Jacinta. Okay,
Thank
that
you.
link of that website.
Okay,
They have classes
okay.
from time to time. They have classes all over India, sometimes
Mhm.
in Chennai, sometimes in Ahmedabad, because he is located in Ahmedabad. I took my first training, 2-day training in Chennai. So you can take a training. And there are people who are trained all over in India if you want a sound bath, but you got to, they do it for a living. They're, young and professional, as opposed to me. I do it like volunteer basis because I'm retired. But you can learn from them. So I'll send that information to Jacinta, and you can get it from her. You contact these people and go for a training.
Okay. Thank you so much. But I think for this sound healing, you will have to possess those bowls. You have to buy
Uh,
those bowls and get it trained on that.
yes, for the level 2, there are 5 bowls. And for level 1, sorry, there are 5 bowls. For level 2, there are many more bowls. You can take the training and you don't have to have bowls, but then it's not of any use. So you contact
Correct,
them and
correct.
find out what the price is. They're fairly expensive, but prices vary. So find out how much it costs for the training and for the bowls. You need at least 5 bowls. Otherwise you can't really do a meaningful session for someone. And I think I get information from them. They have classes, they have training sessions, or they have relaxation sessions, and it costs anywhere from $200 to $400 for 1 hour of session. They do it through Zoom. So if you train yourself, you can offer that to your clients between 200 to 400 rupees for a 1 hour session through Zoom. They don't have to come to your studio. They can be, it sounds very clear wherever you are, right? So, but when I took the session, I was there in her studio. But now with social distancing and luckily with Zoom, you don't have to be in the studio.
I think we have, yeah, Anita.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you. Thank you. That was very relaxing. Can we get a recording of these sounds so that you can?
Yes. Jacinta, did you happen to record this session?
Yes, I did. I have.
Okay,
that's wonderful.
Yeah. So you could get it from Jacinta. It's quite long, so she would have to put it on her Google
apparatus.
She knows how.
She's too good at it.
Yeah, I know.
Then she can send you a link to it. And I'm planning to build a website, but early next year I'll have a website so you can log into the website and listen to different tunes and different sounds.
Hello, Lawrence, which clinic did you go in Kerala? Which Ayurvedic clinic?
It was on the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. It was in Coimbatore. It was really not exactly in Kerala.
Coimbatore.
Right. Coimbatore. I can send you that information too if you want.
Yes.
So
I'm not sure they are open now because of social distancing. I don't know. Yes, they do. They are still taking clients, so you can call them up and see. I will send that information also. They're very good. Those doctors are very good.
Isabel, you had raised your hand. Isabel, you want to ask?
No, that's what Anita asked, whether we can listen to recordings, if we cannot have access to gyms and.
Correct, yes.
Can we do this? Can we do this with the recordings? That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
That you get online.
Okay, I think Lawrence, what Isabel and possibly Anita was referring to, I'm not sure, was on a sustainable basis. Are the sound healing sessions available anywhere freely online or something that could be consistent?
I do a similar thing for a group in Bombay, and that guy, his website, he has all of my recordings. But by early next year, I'm going to have a website. So I can pass that website information to you. So you just log into that website and you can hear it. You don't have to download the whole, because it takes a lot of space on your computer. So you download it and just connect and listen to it. So by early next year, you could have those sessions.
Great.
We are fortunate.
Thank you.
Really, we wish you good luck, Lawrence, and I really
Good
hope.
luck. Absolutely, Lawrence.
Thank you so much, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks. Lawrence enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks, Lawrence. We wish you good health.
Yes, good health and
to keep us going.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Uncle Lawrence.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
so much. Thank you.
And Lawrence is taking your yoga hour today.
Thank
yoga,
you, Lawrence. This is
Lawrence wakes
Vibha.
up early in the morning at 5 and does his yoga. So I don't know whether you were able to do that today as you must be preparing for this session.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, my computer had a virus. Luckily, I had another computer that is working. It's an older one, but I got it to work. So everything.
Wow.
Thank you.
Good. That kept it going.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll get in touch with you later then.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for
Thank you so
now.
much.
Bye, bye.
Thank you.
Have a
good day.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks, enjoyed.
Bye, everybody.